Folks, you've seen some of my videos. You may be new. Bless everybody. I'm going to talk about a subject that is pertinent because of what happened yesterday, a couple days ago in Florida. A hiker was attacked by a wild alligator. They were bitten. A couple months ago, a woman in a canoe with her husband was killed by a wild alligator. I've spent time with alligators. I've spent time with crocodiles. I love the Everglades. I love Florida. I love the swamp. I live in a completely opposite environment. As you can see, I live in the desert in New Mexico. It's the most beautiful place in the world. There's this beautiful sandias. We have clear skies. We don't have any water. The closest thing to an alligator is going to be a pair of boots that you can win over there at Santa Ana Star Casino. Okay, so this video I'm here to talk to you about. This is for everybody, especially the guys. Look, I love alligators, crocodiles, reptiles. They are incredible, and it's very tempting to go spend time with them and touch them and take selfies. Stop doing it. You should not. If you are getting attacked by one of these animals hiking, you asked for it, okay? If you get bit by a rattlesnake, and this goes for the desert, you asked for it. I know it's, unless the passes I will give are parts of California and Arizona and Nevada, not so much New Mexico and Colorado. We all have rattlesnakes here, and you not so much, but the Arizona and the California because of the heat. You will in the building because they've turned Phoenix into a monster. Stop. You will. Rattlesnakes they're building into dens, on the porches. People go outside, there's a rattlesnake, they get bit. You go in the Superstition Mountains, and you got the whole Lost Dutchman's Gold story, which is in Arizona. That's a whole nother thing. It's about 40 miles east of Phoenix. Beautiful place. It's incredible. People get bit a lot. There's tons of rattlesnakes. It's dogs. I love dogs more than anything, more than people. And they get bit because they're being dogs and they're curious or they're trying to protect their owners. But in Tennessee, a gentleman, and only prayers for him and his family. He was killed. He was unalived because he was bit by a timber rattlesnake, which are very poisonous. And only prayers, and this is sad, and I hope some closure comes to his family. But this gentleman felt the need to handle this wild rattlesnake. And this is just no ordinary rattlesnake. It's a timber rattlesnake in Tennessee. And he was unalived, which is pretty unusual because in America, rattlesnakes bites are bad for children, elderly people, but typically if you're not, but even then we have the anti-venom, so he was badly envenomated. But this man, and God bless his soul, or whatever deity you believe, felt it was necessary to introduce himself with his hands on this animal. Rattlesnakes and a lot of snakes are noodles with heads. They are 2-3 inches off the ground. There's cobras and mambas, but I don't think you're encountering those in the United States or North America. If you are, we're in trouble. They feel threatened, and rattlesnakes typically are very non-aggressive. They don't come after people. Now, there are cottonmouths and water moccasins who come after people in Florida. when I mean come after people, they're not going to chase you down, but they will if you are near their territory. They'll come at you, and they have a very bad bite. They've unalived a few people too, but they're not. But they can be bad too. Don't touch them either. I know I've seen people or copperheads. I'm hearing more people are getting unalived as well, and that may have something to do with a certain thing that was a vaccine, a certain thing that might have weakened people, and it was just idiot. But overall, they're not going to unalive you. They're not going to do that. The thing is this goes into, this gentleman was unalived in Tennessee. This lady was bitten hiking in Florida, and then the poor lady was unalived canoeing in Florida because somehow her and her husband ended up over a wild bull alligator canoeing, and he made it. And it wasn't the alligator's fault, but it agitated the alligator. This is a very strange story. Stop going up to these animals. Number one, you don't know what you're doing. And those of us who do know what we're doing and we have a talent for it in connection with wild animals, we know what they are. You don't need to go introduce yourself. You don't need to make selfies. It's one thing to do it with bears, mooses, and buffaloes. There's enough of that. When you're doing it in the swamp with alligators, and God forbid if you do it with a crocodile, you are. And there are crocodiles in Florida. There's more now. There's American crocodiles that have always been there. Now there's been sightings of Nile crocodiles, some caimans, and that's it. Alligators are really not aggressive. They're ambush predators. They don't want to be bothered by, they don't want interaction with humans. The females, when they're nesting, are at their worst. That's when they're the most dangerous. And that's probably why people are getting bit. If you are having an interaction with dangerous wildlife that is a mother with her offspring, and you get unalived or attacked, you ask for it, there's no sympathy. There's no reason for that to be happening. Now again, there's those of us who have the talent, have the ability, have the experience, have the knowledge to interact with dangerous wildlife for a reason. We know what we're doing, we understand their behaviors, their actions. That's why you see these people handling king cobras and mambas and boom slangs, gaboon vipers, and some of them that are 1,000 times more venomous than rattlesnakes. Because what you have to look at, what a lot of people don't understand, because they watch this and say, oh, okay, I'm going to go get a gaboon viper and just put it over my shoulder. They like Chandler's Wild Adventures. I don't know this man. I love his videos, and he is super talented. He looks like he's a guy in his 30s, young guy. So entertaining. He's got everything. He interacts with everything. He has his own reserve sanctuary. He is tremendous, and he has everything. He's got Kevin the King Cobra. You could watch him he's more entertaining than anything on Netflix or Hulu. But what people confuse is they're watching this thinking, gee, he just took a boom slang, which is one of the most deadliest snakes on the planet, from Africa. Boom slang means it's a tree in Dutch, slang snake, tree snake. It's called a boom slang, and you get bitten, it's a boom, because you're gonna get like an explosion. You're gonna get body parts coming off. It's gonna melt you. But he is looking. First of all, he has the education of these animals' behavior and movement, and he is looking at everything. It's like look at it as a great fighter, and I'm talking about boxing, where they look very smooth and automatic. What they're doing is like Alexander Usyk, probably one of the best heavyweights, if not the best heavyweight who ever lived. Ukrainian fighter, small, cleaned out the heavyweight division from cruiserweight, but he's technique and skill all the way, completely. And what they're doing is they're watching everything instinctively of who they're fighting, and they're looking at, and it's the same analogy to snakes, to venomous animals, to alligators and crocodiles. They're watching everything to the way an eye moves, a head moves, the body moves, the way the body feels. And something they're not doing is going for a hike and just going and fiddling with animals for the fun of it, or for curiosity, or for a selfie, or for a whatever. And the problem with doing that as well, and you're going to see there's more of this happening, and unfortunately the ladies are doing it too. It usually was a guy thing, because guys feel it's necessary. Guys are dumb. They feel it's necessary to impress or get attention, and go yank on a python's tail or something, or do something, and then they end up pretzeled, and it's over. And that's another thing. Python hunting is fantastic. We need it to take care of the Burmese and African rock python issue in Florida, and there are people who know what they're doing, and it's the same thing, because a python will put you out of business so fast. And I'm not talking about getting constricted. They have razor blades in their mouth, and they are purely killing machines, and they're super aggressive. Probably in a lot of ways worse than a venomous snake, because you know what you're dealing with. Venomous snakes don't have, they're not going to rip you open. They're generally, I mean, you have to come up to them to have a bad situation, but pythons don't do that. So folks, everybody, I love my subscribers. A lot of smart people watch my videos, but this is becoming more and more people getting unalived and attacked by dangerous animals. It's thank goodness we're not in Africa, where hippos who look cute and cartoon-like will unalive you faster than anything. Hippos can crush a crocodile, an African crocodile, which is essentially, they're not, and that's, I'll give you guys a little something interesting. Some of you might know this, but alligators and crocodiles are not dinosaurs. But you hear that a lot, they're dinosaurs. Nile lizards are not dinosaurs. Komodo dragons are not, they're not dinosaurs. They have different genetics. They have a similar ancestor, like we have a similar ancestor with some primates, but they're not dinosaurs. In fact, they survived when dinosaurs didn't. And that's why, you know, you ever wonder, you watch these, or you go to a Gatorland, or in Thailand they have Crocland, and they're all on top of each other. It seems like the strength, I've seen that. I was in an enclosure with like 60 alligators just all on each other. If they were people, they'd be fighting. And it seems odd. Like why isn't anyone establishing territory? And they'll fight and they'll try to hurt each other sometimes, but generally when they're in those such large amounts, they get along because they evolved that way. They had to. When 65 million years ago, when the comet or meteor hit and shut the earth down and wiped out the dinosaurs, it didn't wipe out crocodilians. They didn't have alligators, but it didn't wipe them out. They were smart enough. That's why people don't give them enough credit to come together and survive through incredibly harsh. And that's what makes them so dangerous. These animals are survivors. So that explains, and that's also, but if you put two male alligators or crocodiles together, then they'll fight and try to unalive each other. But when you put a lot together, they won't. Now that's, you can go online, see videos of people just go in their backyard and they'll call the alligator or the crocodile, and it will run right up. I mean, Florida's passing laws. You can't have one over 4 feet. The fact that they have to have legislation pass a law about this, imagine the state you live in, that's an important bill. You're paying taxes for that. So people feel it's necessary to have that in their home. You don't need to have that in your home. You don't need pythons in your home. These are for the handful of people who are experts who can keep these animals. Reptiles they have no ability to love you and have a connection with you. They do have emotions for each other. Like you'll see for instance, an alligator, a mother with her offspring in her mouth. Like they do have emotions to care. They don't bond with each other though. They just don't have that. Because these animals, they breed with, the alligators and crocodiles will breed together. They just don't have the genetics to have offspring. But when you have animals, and that's what reptiles do, they don't form bonds with anyone or anything or each other. Just because they're in the same cage, they can become familiar. They're not tame. They can get trained. They just get familiar. That's why these trainers who've had deadly snakes can handle them, because they're familiar and they're fed. So the feeding response is not there. The defensive response, they don't feel threatened, is not there. Generally, reptiles are not territorial with human beings. That's very unusual. But the predatory response can come out, and that's when people get badly hurt. And this goes for all over the country. We're going to see more of these probably. They feel the need to fiddle, mess with wildlife. Not just reptiles. And you have to be out of your mind. There was someone in Alaska who felt it was necessary to go introduce herself to a moose, got gored. A moose is like a hippo in the Americas. It's not bullwinkle. A bison, a buffalo. Would you go up to a bull and go bother it? A bison buffalo is a bull on steroids times 10. And people feel the need to get near these animals. Please stop doing this. Please speak out on these people. Turn them in. Confront them. Stop this behavior, because ultimately it makes life way more dangerous for the animals. Number one, because these animals will get euthanized because some idiot decided the need to bother them. And makes these animals more aggressive towards humans because they associate food with humans. Or number three, they're agitated because a human agitated them because they're with their young. Because unlike reptiles, animals have bonds with other and they protect their own. So it makes them just as dangerous, if not more dangerous. Where alligators, crocodiles, these animals are not going to protect their friend. They don't have friends. And that's the last thing. But if you feel an alligator's one thing, they could tear you apart. If you need to go up to a crocodile, then you're just tired of living. They're a whole different level. They're much more aggressive. They will eat people. And I don't want to even get into marine life, because that's a whole nother thing. Shark attacks are through the roof because people need to swim in shark-infested areas. So please stay safe. Be smart. There are plenty of places in America, and I can tell you where to see these wild, dangerous wildlife in safe environments and enjoy them. Everybody have a good rest of your week, and I'll talk to you later.